The drama within luxury fashion has been brewing for a while now, and there are a few topics that recently have come up that I think are worth discussing. What do they mean for us? These include Hedi Slimane moving on from Celine, Chanel rumours, JW Anderson leaving Loewe rumours, Off-White being sold, and MyTheresa's new acquisition of Net-a-Porter. We're going to be going into it, telling you the bits that you really need to know. Guys, if you are new here, my name is Cassie and I'm a self-diagnosed luxury addict. I put out videos on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, so if you like luxury fashion, then you're going to love it here. So head down there, subscribe, turn on the bell, become a member of our luxury addicted family. When are we going to rehab? Never. Off-White has been sold by LVMH to Blue Star Alliance. Rather untactfully, rather disrespectfully, might we even go so far as to say, LVMH made this announcement on what would have been Virgil Abloh's 44th birthday. Now, Blue Star Alliance, I don't know if you've heard of them, I previously hadn't. The brands that they currently have under their belt include BB, Scotch and Soda, and Tahari. None of which you would probably describe as a luxury brand, especially to the point that Off-White definitely was. And it's no secret that in recent years, Off-White hasn't been doing so well. It's not been as hot as it once was, and my gosh, did it really rule luxury streetwear for a time. Off-White was on List's hottest brands list, within the top 3 for like a year and a half, within the top 20 for about 2 years between like 2018 and 2020 really. And the whole vibe of the brand was very sort of industrial. It felt very different, but it really was luxury streetwear. They showed as part of Paris Fashion Week. The brand was created in 2013, and I think they had their first runway show in 2015. Virgil was a finalist for the LVMH prize with Off-White. Like, this was a very highly regarded brand that sold really well. Lest we forget the industrial belt. You could wear that thing one of 25,000 ways. There were tutorials on YouTube about 25 ways to wear your Off-White industrial belt. It was the longest belt in existence for absolutely no reason, but it was that, you know, industrial vibe. It almost looked like the sort of belts that they strap on pallets so that, like, wooden boxes don't break open over the ocean. You know, those sorts of things. The normal Off-White t-shirts with the massive logo that was the arrows crossed. Sold out collaborations left, right and centre with Nike, with IKEA. I will never forgive myself for not continuing to refresh the IKEA page to get that keep off rug. It's iconic. So basically, LVMH upped their investment in Off-White earlier on in 2021, I think it was around August, and Virgil sadly passed away in the November of that year. And basically, since then, they were never able to really put the foundations in place for this brand to succeed without Virgil, because it was the very essence of him. Eventually, that gave him the position as creative director of menswear at Louis Vuitton. So it's not like a stepping stone to be sniffed at. IB Kamara was given the role of creative director about 6 months after Virgil died. I don't know if it's that the aesthetic shifted. I don't know if it's also because, as I said, there was no framework in there to really make this brand sustainable without Virgil. But people weren't really buying. The core audience that would buy Off-White wasn't really buying the new offering, and because of that, they had massive inventory that then got massively discounted. A few big online retailers actually stopped carrying the brand in general, MyTheresa, Net-a-Porter. On top of that, the New Guard group owns Off-White's licensing rights. They were owned by Farfetch, which has now been sold on to Coupang. It's all very complicated. But those licensing rights are up in 2026. Now, let's bring it to today, to the new owner and all of that. Blue Star Alliance are a brand management company that seem to basically license the names of brands to everything, right? Which, you know, diminishes the value of the brand and all of that. So I suspect that once the Off-White licensing rights are up with New Guards Group in 2026, we're going to start seeing Off-White slapped on really anything and everything, which is very much a shame. But if it gives you an ounce of solace, especially if you're a Virgil fan like I am, I believe that Virgil's wife and his foundation cut ties with Off-White in 2022. So that's something, I guess. Now, something else that was just announced today as I'm filming this is that MyTheresa has bought Net-a-Porter. Net-a-Porter was owned by Richemont, and they have been trying to get rid of Net-a-Porter for ages because apparently it doesn't seem to be making much money. I read something today that actually it's profitable, but I don't know. Will we ever know? Not really. MyTheresa really seems to be one of the few luxury multi-brand retailers that have been doing well in the last couple of years. We've seen Matches go. We've seen Farfetch be on the brink of bankruptcy and, you know, was bought or whatever, but people still aren't quite sure what's going on there, and so on and so forth. So this is a big move. I think that this will probably make them the biggest online luxury retailer in terms of like reach and volume of product. So I think the deal is set to go through and everything finalised early next year. Let's see what the online offering looks like. Let's see if, you know, will Net-a-Porter be something, will they have different buys? Will it all be under one website? Who knows? Let's see. Further intel. I've actually read somewhere that they plan on Net-a-Porter having a bit more of a wider price range and MyTheresa being kept for those high net worth individuals / a much more expensive buy, those top tier brands, the Row, stuff like that. Interesting. Hedi Slimane has left Celine. So he was at Celine for 7 years. There have been rumours over the past few months that like, oh, they're renegotiating, it's not going well, blah, blah, blah. He brought his signature skinny, sort of very rock and rolled inspired designs to the brand. His history is basically he was at YSL, then he went to Dior, went back to Saint Laurent, got rid of the Eve, and he was the one that turned it from YSL to Saint Laurent, and then went to Celine after Phoebe Philo. Apparently, in between all of that, he declined an offer to be creative director of Jill Sander at some point. His impact on Celine has been really quite big. He's introduced menswear to the brand, they didn't have it before, and he introduced beauty to the brand. They have really great fragrances. Shout out to Celine Black Tie. It's an excellent fragrance, especially for this time of year. And also introduced their beauty. I don't know if they have come out with the lipsticks yet, but I know that that is something that they have announced that they're working on. He's also allegedly more than doubled sales since being there. So his performance has been great at the brand. He's very known for his skinny aesthetic and credited with this new silhouette for men, the very skinny suit that he brought into Saint Laurent and Dior. But he is also somebody who very much likes to do things on his own terms. He is not afraid to have beef, so it's been a bit between him and Vogue, to the point that they're not allowed to photograph his collections. I think they're only allowed to use his pictures, and they actually don't review Celine at all. And of course, after this announcement, everybody's mind went to, he's going to Chanel. Of course he's going to Chanel, because there have been mutterings about him previously. Karl Lagerfeld had mentioned him by name as somebody he would, you know, be happy to have as his successor. I don't know. Look, we're not going to know until the announcement. I've heard that the announcement will come out early next year. I have no idea, truly. I mean, it might come out in the next 2 weeks for all I know. I don't know anything, is the long and short of it. But he does seem to be somebody that is quote-unquote hard to control. He's going to do his own thing. Does Chanel want that? Does Chanel want somebody who really has the capacity to flip Chanel on its head if he wants to? That kind of thing. Something that's come up with a few fashion journalists that I think is quite interesting. Vanessa Friedman writes for the New York Times, and she basically was talking about how you kind of have, in terms of star creative directors, so these ones that we know by now, the Hedi Slimane, the Marc Jacobs, that cohort of fashion designers, is that they don't really tend to keep sacred those codes of the house, those design elements and styles that we attribute to certain brands, and instead just bring their own aesthetic to wherever they kind of go. So we've seen this with Hedi and Dior Homme to YSL to Celine. You can follow that through, right? You can also see this, you know, more recently with Alessandro Michele for Valentino, or with John Galliano for Margiela's couture collection, right? Does Chanel want somebody who could potentially do that. However, his last couple of shows for Celine have been a little bit more Chanel-y, shall we say. Let's keep our eyes open, ears to the ground. Ears to the ground. Yeah, something like that. Michael Ryder has been announced as his successor at Celine. He is ex-Ralph Lauren. And the rumour mill has been a chattering, okay? Because finally, let's discuss the current rumour that Jonathan Anderson is leaving Loewe and where he might be going. So there is an online publication called Miss Tweed who apparently has the exclusive on this, okay? That Jonathan Anderson is out of Loewe. So he just presented at Paris Fashion Week and it was his 10th anniversary show for the brand. And he has done a really incredible job of creating this very specific Loewe world. It's novelty, backed up by really exceptional craftsmanship, and he really pushes the boundaries of creativity in every collection, right? There's always something that's a surprise and you're like, oh my gosh, how did they do that? How did they make a dress out of mother of pearl? Who thought of that and why? And I don't know the answers to any of these questions, but I like that they did it, you know? A lot of Loewe's recent success is down to him. He has made the brand what it is. It's one of the hottest brands of the last couple of years. So Loewe is obviously an LVMH brand. His own brand is also owned by LVMH. It's part owned by LVMH, you know, so he's really in there. The rumour is that they are moving him out of Loewe into Dior. Maria Grazia Chiuri has been the creative director of Dior for a while now, and whilst I've heard her collections are extremely commercial, I don't know, like, they sell well, right? People are buying the stuff. I don't know if over the last sort of year or so that's been that true, but just as an observer, I think it's gotten a bit stale, okay? I think that we're seeing the same. I mean, after the Miss Dior, that was me. I'm all right there. So the rumour is that he is going to move into Dior, which I would be really interested to see what his Dior looks like. I feel like it would be really fun and interesting, and maybe we'll see a part of the brand that we haven't seen in recent years. I don't know. Like I said, it's just the rumour mill. Don't shoot the messenger. This is just what I've heard and read online. Another rumour, while we're at it, it's only a little one, I don't have much information, is that ex-Valentino, Pier Paolo Piccioli, is going to, drumroll please, Fendi, and Kim Jones is out. The musical chairs of luxury fashion continues. Let me know your thoughts on these little pieces of news and rumours. Are you happy about them? Are you not happy about them? Let me know. I'm going to leave a link over here to another video if you haven't already seen it. Have an amazing morning, afternoon or evening wherever you are. And in the words of my father,
if you've enjoyed it, tell your friends. If you haven't, keep your mouth shut.
I'll see you in my next video. Mwah. Bye guys.